All right, we're back for the podcast. It's probably been over a
way
year at
too long.
this point.
Yeah, because I think we did the last one. It would have been with Mads.
The Christmas one. Before our
party.
Christmas party. Yeah, true.
That's been over a year.
New setup, fresh setup, fresh sort of topics, I feel.
Yeah.
Formats. So we'll get straight into it. I guess give an idea of what the topic of discussion is today.
Yep.
It's sort of like the neuroscience of change. So like what actually we know about the brain, how that plays a part in change, which it's all of it, really.
Yeah.
And then I guess I don't like the word hack when it comes to this sort of stuff, but really it's kind of like how do you, based on what we know about the brain, how do you make sure you do all the right things to actually implement a change successfully, based on all the science we have, all the studies that have been done, and then I guess our own personal experiences with what has worked for us, because obviously with exercise in particular for us, I think we've kind of mastered the art of doing that. I've been training consistently for probably like 13, 14 years now at this point. It'd probably be something similar.
Yeah. I think for us, the neuroscience of change part of exercise happened a long time ago. But I guess the topic of conversation today is how to bring in the science of all of this into what we do here at the gym.
And like, I guess in a lot of ways, like when it comes to certain habits that everyone sort of has and they're able to stick to, they're not even habits, they're just part of your life, right?
Yeah. If you stick into them, it's who you are.
Yeah, and oftentimes like there are things that we stick to, but we don't actually break down like, well, what is it that we actually did that worked? Because obviously something we did was probably science-based. We did all the right things, but it was probably a bit of trial and error.
Yeah.
So how do we get rid of the trial and error? Because there's certain things in everyone's lives that we just constantly just getting wrong. Like we're messing it up, right? Like we're all like this.
Yeah. So maybe instead of the word hack, it's like how do we shortcut the process?
Yeah. Stop making the mistakes that we all make and just get to the stuff that we know works and then start implementing that plan essentially.
There's been lots of studies on this sort of stuff. So
yes, because the brain is fascinating. I've always been fascinated by sort of the psychology of this sort of stuff. So, so I guess the initial part of the process is around sort of the shift in identity, because it's all well and good to come up with a plan or a habit you want to create and something you want to stick to. But if you don't truly believe that you're the type of person that would do that sort of thing or would stick to that sort of thing, it's not going to happen, right? No. You actually have to believe that you are the type of person that does this sort of thing. First and foremost, you believe that you're actually capable of doing that thing. And then I think part of the element of that as well is you have to really come up with the alternative as well. There has to be an element of fear. And that goes back to sort of like the evolutionary part of our brains where our brains are sort of wired to survive, right? Threat detection, fear is a massive thing. Like back in the day, we
only did things out of fear.
And survival, fear and survival, right?
Yeah, and that's the way our brain is still wired now. So I guess the science of it is like we have to at least think about the alternate outcome. Which is what could happen if we don't make the changes that we want to make.
Fear is a really great motivator. Like the reason you get up and go to work every day is not because it makes you happy. It's because of the fear of what happens if you don't, right? So you need to look at the fear element, and I think you need to get very, very into the deep, dark stuff in your brain as well when you're coming up with something when it's health related. Like what is the worst case scenario if you don't do any of this stuff, right? And it's not next year, it's not 2 months from now, it's like down the track.
5 years, 10 years.
When it's too late. Like what does that look like? How do you feel?
If I don't make this change, what does it look like in 10 years? What does the next 15 years look like? I think it's hard for people our age to maybe conceptualize what that is because it's so far away for us. But, you're 35 this year, I'm 33 this year. There's lots of people in our age category now even. And I guess the older you get, the more and more you think that your age category is still young. So,
yes.
I'm in my 30s now. I'm definitely feeling young in my 30s, but I think there's a lot of people that we're not even just in our close social circles, but in our larger social circles. Like if you think about who you went to high school with, that are maybe the examples of what happens if you don't do these things, which is maybe that's something, it's a good idea to think about yourself, but also actually I think there's a bit of culture where it's like we're kind of too soft about it, right? Like we don't want people to have these thoughts because they're bad thoughts and they're not productive or this and that. Like it's too fucking soft. Like the reality is if you don't do this shit, like this is what life looks like. And we actually need to have that hard conversation. We're not saying you need to advertise it online or post about it or talk about it to everyone. Maybe it's a conversation you have with yourself, but you write down some notes about it.
And you don't dwell on it, right?
Yeah.
Like you need to have that thought. I think some of the biggest changes you'll make with anything to do with who you are and the type of person you are comes from that initial discomfort.
Yeah.
But you don't keep thinking about all the bad things you thought about. You process it, you come up with a change, and then you just work towards that. And then it becomes a positive thing, right? But you need the initial, like really deep dive into your own psyche, your own head. Of the really uncomfortable thoughts.
It's a reality check part.
So what does the sort of science say on this? Well, I think when it comes to that initial identity shift, what you sort of need to be constantly doing in your own head is around, it's almost like a fake it till you make it, right? So your identity, who you are as a person, the things you kind of do, you're essentially starting off with, well, what is your actual ideal version of yourself? What would that person do? That's a fictional person, right? But the actual thoughts that you need to then have constantly are like you're already that person. And like there was a study done, sort of Harvard did one, took two groups of people who never played piano. One group practiced for 2 hours every day, and the other group just sat in front of it and imagined they did it for 2 hours a day. And after a week, the brain scans responsible for like the movement of fingers were both identical, right? So even just thinking things into existence makes the changes in your brain already. So if you're thinking that you are this person, then that's just as good as actually being that person, right? So it has to start in your actual mindset first.
Is that the visualization part of
visualizing it?
And it's massive in sport. Like they've probably been talking about that for a decade now in sport, how players that do a certain thing will visualize doing that thing. That makes them way better at doing the thing than the players that don't think about it at all, just go and play the sport, right?
All professional athletes have like a sports psychologist, right? That's telling them all this sort of stuff. So like the first thing is like figure out what type of person you want to be. Write it down. I think that's really important too. And then start thinking like you already are that person. I am not going to the gym 3 times. I want to go to the gym 3 times this week. It's like I go to the gym 3 times a week. That's who I am. It's my identity, right? It also probably helps if you sort of tell other people what your plans are too.
I think it's a massive part of it. Or like the shift of like being the gym goer in not even just in like a wankerish sort of way. I mean, the other example is the smoking scenario, right? Like being a smoker versus not being a smoker. Like you're just not a smoker anymore. You're not someone who smoked and you're quitting smoking. I'm just not a smoker anymore. If you can like really identify with that, it makes the change part of it a lot easier.
So when it comes to health related things, I think because we used a piano example and a smoking example, I think the two main ones are around like training itself, which I think is a great starting point too, because I feel like when I'm training, I want to eat better anyway. It's sort of a good way of stacking because like you go, okay, well if I'm training, like I want to be fueling my body right? It doesn't come the other way around for I think most people.
Most people it's training first.
So you start the exercise, whether that be gym, whether that be a walk, even if you wanted to go to the gym but you messed that up, the alternative is not nothing. It should be, okay, well I'm a person who is healthy and fit. So if you can't make it to the gym, well then what would that sort of person do? And that would be, how would they
engage in some level of activity?
So I think that's the most important step. And then I think the really important part, which we touched on at the start, which is around creating the worst case scenario. If you don't do these things, if I don't actually become this person, and in fact I become the opposite of that person, and I do none of these things I want to implement, what does that look like in the future for me? And include like examples of, think about people that are older, maybe family members, parents, grandparents.
I don't think visualizing that part of it is going to be too hard.
No, it's not.
Everyone has an example in their life of the person that could have been a lot healthier that is like you're still alive and they're, you see what they can do as far as the mobility and what they're doing with their life. And, they might have even passed away by now. But like, it's not hard to draw that picture in your mind, I think. We usually have someone in our life that is like that.
We all get kind of flooded a lot with like the risks of things like obesity, and like we were well aware of like bone densities in its importance with. So like just think of as many different examples, and again write them down, make it really uncomfortable, and you're not gonna like.
It's not gonna happen to you tomorrow.
But you're not gonna like sit with that forever. Once it's written down, you know, move on, and then you look at the positives. But I think you need that fear as a motivator to start with, right?
Correct.
So if you don't truly believe that's the person you can be, and you don't have an element of fear of what you want to avoid happening to you, it's these things, motivation goes up and down. Like you won't stick to these things if you don't truly believe and want to change. There have to be strong emotional connections to these changes, right? So next part, we just sort of talked about motivation, willpower, all of that sort of thing, and your environment's really important too.
What's the science part of this? So we've got two parts of the brain that we need to talk about, which is you've probably heard the terms before, but maybe people don't quite understand what they do and what their roles are, I guess. So we've got the prefrontal cortex and we've got the basal ganglia. What do they do, Corey? And how do they operate, and why are they an important part of this conversation? I reckon is the main thing for.
So the prefrontal cortex is kind of the thing you're always kind of fighting against. That's the part of you that is sort of the decision maker, the willpower, all that sort of stuff, right? So that's not actually really your friend in this scenario. I mean, like from an evolution perspective, you need that. But when it comes to creating new habits and changes, that's the thing you're actually fighting against. And again, it's part of your brain. You are your brain. So you will never win that fight if you don't come up with ways of sort of like hacking that part of it, right? And understanding that's a thing, and how do we just avoid it ever becoming part of the equation, right? So when it comes to like willpower decisions, that's the prefrontal cortex. Essentially, we don't want to be relying on that because we sort of think of willpower and motivation as something that might fluctuate on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis. The reality is we know that it kind of does on a daily basis. I mean, when most people, when it comes to nutrition, like mess up with their food, it's not like you mess up the first meal of the day. Like it's more likely it's going to be later in the day because your willpower and motivation will go down as the day goes on. And that's with like obstacles coming up, unpredictable things happening at work, life, everything.
Your stress is sort of just naturally increase as the day goes on, right?
So we've got to be aware that that's a part of everyday life. And then we just got to come up with strategies for when it comes up, because it will. And it will come up every day in some way, right? The basal ganglia, that's the opposite. That's sort of the habit stuff. It's a very sort of efficient and timeless process. So like that's not something that wavers, right? That's fairly consistent. So we want to rely on that sort of autopilot part of the brain rather than motivation, drive, willpower, etc. A study that talks about a very specific example on this. Google did one. People were snacking on things like chocolates and things like that. This example was M&Ms. So by just switching the environment, which was they're moving the M&Ms from like clear, opaque sort of jars where they're visible, to like a not visible. You have to open the jar to see them. And then putting fruit in front of those jars. Making it sort of a bit of an inconvenience to go for the bad option and more convenient and less effort to go for the healthy option. 3.1 million fewer calories consumed over 7 weeks. So they were actually really doing a proper study on this sort of stuff. So you need to make your environment, I guess, work around the willpower changes that are going to happen. You need to make it really, really easy for you to do the right thing and annoying and difficult to do the bad thing. So that's in your house, workplace, everywhere. Sort of set up the system so that it's so much easier for you to do the thing you want to do and avoid the thing that you know you shouldn't do, right?
It's almost like put the stuff in a safe, not literally, but like that's the sort of a friction you're trying to create. Like companies like Google are able to do these studies because they can monitor like how many M&M's fucking packets were opened, right?
Yeah.
So it's very easy for them to do it, and they can do it at scale. They have cafeterias, the whole, Google has a campus essentially. And they can run the study and get some really consistent results out of what happened because the data collection part of it's really easy.
And they knew going into this that would work because they already had the prior research, right?
Yeah.
So, but what does it look like for, I guess, the
average,
we're not in a cafeteria,
home,
right?
Yeah. What does it look like at home? I reckon it's the top shelf, right, for a lot of people, and it's put it in a container and make that container a little bit harder to open.
Yeah.
We're not saying completely eliminate those things from your diet. I think the balance part of it's important. Do that. And I have another really easy way to create friction. I think most of our clients that are really trying to lose weight are tracking with MyFitnessPal, right? Put the QR code or the barcode on that box of lollies. Mm-hmm. So now when you open that box, there's a QR code there or the barcode there. And there's something that goes off in your brain that goes, oh, not only do I have to open this box from the top shelf to get the lollies out, I've got a cue that tells me I probably should scan this barcode and track the lollies, right? Creating a little bit of extra points of friction mean that you're less likely to, even when you do go get the tub out of lollies, less likely to eat from it.
Yeah.
Or even when you get the tub of lollies out, you're likely to eat what is a serving size that gets tracked on MyFitnessPal instead of sitting there and eating 3 or 4 serving sizes.
One thing I will give your sort of main supermarkets here, your Coles and Woolworths.
Yeah.
One thing that they've clearly based their layout of their stores based on probably what the health department sort of recommended in terms of what they know works, which is exactly the same methodology, right? So all Coles and Woolworths, what's right in the first thing that you see when you go in the door? It's the fruit and vegetables, right? Because we know we need, those are genuinely good foods we should have more of.
Yeah.
And so if they're put right in front of you and it's right there to grab straight away, you're more likely to go to those things, right? Which is the good stuff. And so, they do the sneaky psychology with the milk, for example. The milk is always at the back because they want you to walk through the aisles and see all the other shit. Yeah. They do both. They do the good and the bad. But if we just take the good example, when it comes to nutrition, make it really easy to make the right choices with food, right?
Yep.
Figure out, okay, what is currently something that's annoying for me to eat healthy?
Yep.
And why is it that the alternative is so much easier? And flip it.
Yeah. Well,
and flip it. So, whether it be reorganizing the pantry, whether it be putting the bad foods really so high up that you have to get a chair to get them, make it a 20-second barrier for you to get to that thing that you want, right?
Yeah.
The bad thing. Yeah. And make it really easy to eat the good thing. Have all the good foods front and center in front of your head, or have them out on, the actual, not in the pantry at all. Have them right in front of you. When you're hungry,
fill the fruit bowl.
There's snacks right there already, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to training or getting yourself to the gym, most of the barriers for doing that come around, I guess, being disorganized, right? You get up in the morning, you're running late. I've got my clothes on, but now I need to get my gym clothes because I'm going straight from work. If you're rushing around having to do that stuff, you're more likely to be I just don't have time. It's not happening today, right?
Yeah.
Set that stuff up the night before.
Yeah.
Plan out that stuff the night before. And we'll go into planning later on in this one as well. Yeah. Friction, which is, again, kind of the theme of most of what causes us not to stick to things.
Yeah.
So, we've pretty much already gone through this. I think that the next step of this as well, and we all know we do this, comes around actually getting started with a lot of these things that initially feel like habits. They don't feel like just part of your day, that things that you do, like brushing your teeth, is just a thing you do. It didn't start that way.
Yeah.
It started as something that your parents are forcing you to brush your teeth, right?
Yeah.
Eventually, with repetition, now it becomes that. But how do we get the ball rolling in the first place? I think it comes from, I guess, just starting, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. Mm-hmm. A lot of people come up with this great plan of what they want to do, but there's so many steps to doing it. It's not just I'm just going to go to the gym. It's I've got to have a really great program. My nutrition's got to be perfect. And then that's just too overwhelming, right?
Shoes.
Yeah.
There's
so many steps, right? Yeah. So you kind of got to go into a new habit or a new change you want to make with just the attitude of I've just got to do something.
Yeah.
And then you build it from there. And you are someone who sort of is pretty good, I would say, at like habit stacking.
Yeah.
Which is where you start off with just something kind of really, really small. Or you basically already have a habit that you know you do at a certain time of day or every day, and then you add the new thing onto that after it, right?
Yeah.
So that's a really good one. You also have a good one for the nutrition.
The nutrition. Yeah. So this is something I kind of did this accidentally, but more so because I was curious about tracking on MyFitnessPal certain food items in the supermarket. And I thought to myself as I did, I'm like, this would be awesome for everyone to try and do this, because not only does it ensure that you're buying the right food choices, but it gives you a really quick idea of how much of that thing you need to get the whole week of meals done. And it also gives you an idea of calories straight away to know whether or not you purchase that thing. So in the supermarket, as I was planning, like I kind of went with a rough idea of what I wanted to make, but then no idea on the portion size of what I needed to buy. But I started just tracking each of the food items I grabbed with my MyFitnessPal app, scanning the barcode, and then working out, all right, sick, I need 3 of these to make my week worth of meals. And I know that I get an X amount of protein from each of them. I know exactly when I'm doing my prep and separating my food, how much of this mince I need to put into each of the meals, how much of these beans I need to put into each of the meals. And then not only was I doing it with that, I was doing it with the snack items that I'm buying that are not necessarily healthier items per se, but like I was planning them into my day already, knowing how many calories I had left to spend. Almost doing a budget while you're shopping of like what your day looks like of calories. I think reducing the friction there and making your day of calories before you've even left the supermarket is a really good way of doing it. And again, if you haven't bought the thing, you can't eat the thing.
Yeah.
So again, it reduces the friction by not having it available for you to eat. If you don't buy the chocolate bar, you haven't accounted for any calories, you're not going to eat it.
And this is so not on the point of this podcast, but I think an obvious one that not enough people realize is like never go to the shops when you're hungry. That's part of a habit you should create. Yeah. Go when you're full, because then you won't even buy that stuff.
Yeah, you don't buy the snacky stuff.
You won't even go down that aisle because you're not hungry.
Yeah.
I think it's, which I think this goes into the next part, which is around like the actual planning and how to write and word these goals in your head as well.
Yep.
So vague goals, like I think people create often quite vague goals, right? Yeah. So when we talk about like we've done this is the type of person I am, even that, we can't be vague. Like it's not just I am a strong, independent woman, right? Like that's not what you're going for.
Yeah.
You need to get down into the specifics of how this person would act in each situation that your kind of day-to-day life includes, right? And then the next step is actually the goals themselves and writing them. And we always sort of harp on about this when we do goal setting with people. Like you need to get specific, smarter goals or smart goals. They work for a reason.
Yep.
But even in the way you answer those questions, sometimes I feel like we look at somewhere there's like, look, that's just, you haven't really thought about this on a deep level, and it's like a one-line answer, right?
Yep.
I think even every section of a smarter goal needs to be like really get into specifics on this.
Yep.
So it's not like I'll eat healthier. Like that there's no metric there that you can track that, right? Like it's not objective enough. It's so subjective, and it doesn't actually like give you an actual, specifics of what that actually means for you.
Yeah.
Like what sort of foods you can eat when you're healthier. Like, well, you need to get into that stuff, and you can't just leave it in your head because that can change depending on your mood and sort of over time.
You're write down. You're going to set some barriers. You've got to have a number that you're aiming for, a goal, a target.
Yeah, like real specific. Yeah. And again,
that stuff matters.
I think all of this stuff needs to be written down. Again, we'll get to that later. But
What's the study?
Yeah, the study. So British Journal of Health Psychology, they were tracking people that wanted to build an exercise habit.
Yeah, if we get into more of the specifics of that study. So there were 248 people that were told, split into 3 groups. Control group, no intervention. They had nothing happened, just do whatever you want to do. They track whether or not they exercised over the 2 weeks. The group 2 was given a pamphlet on heart disease. So here's what happens, it's heart disease, and we'll see how much they train. And then group 3 was the group that had the goals, intentions written down, the plan written down of how I'm going to do this exercise on this day. pretty much between the first two groups, there's no difference really. Like 35 and
really.
38%, that's not much of a change in terms of exercise, the amount of times they exercised over the 2 weeks. And then the third group, a 91% success rate on exercising enough times over the 2 weeks, which is that's a big difference.
Yeah.
That's big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means that group probably did 3 times more exercise.
Yeah. And so
we can numbers, right? Like
yeah, and we can apply that to not just exercise, like the nutrition again, which I think is a common one that goes along with these sort of health-related goals, right? You can also be writing you should also be writing specific things for like situations where you'll make the bad decision, right?
Yeah.
So this is part of the thinking of solutions to every potential bad decision you might make and making it easier. So even if it's something along the lines of like going to this restaurant tonight, and you know what you like at restaurants sometimes. And again, sometimes you might be good, but you know there's this other side of you that sometimes might be bad. And you might make the bad decisions. So even sort of coming up with a specific plan for what happens when, you know, you look through the menu or the waiter sort of asks you if you want to grab an entree. Like having already thought of all the things that could come up that could lead you to bad ideas or bad decisions, and then how you're going to overcome them. And sometimes it's literally just visualizing how you respond to that. Oh, no, thanks. That's all you have to think.
Yeah.
So you're always going in with a plan of how to not make the bad decision, right? And a plan of what you're planning to eat beforehand. I think that's an easy one that some people do. It's like, yeah, you look at the menu online before you get there.
I think a lot of people do that anyway.
Yeah.
But they're looking at it for, hey, like, what am I going to eat? What do I want to try? Not necessarily the bad reasons, but like if you're trying to be the healthy person, then you should be looking at it for the right reasons.
And maybe like the good decision in that scenario, because hey, we're allowed to enjoy ourselves at a restaurant, right? Yeah. Maybe all you do is like while you're looking up that menu, you've probably already got maybe 2 or 3 options that you're thinking about beforehand anyway.
Yeah.
Why don't you just like look up how many calories each of those have? Just an estimate.
Yeah.
And then that just knowledge and that those like number figures, you can go, okay, out of the 3 options, like I'm happy with all 3.
Yeah.
But this one is clearly the lower calorie option or the higher protein option or the more, you know, whatever it might be. And then you just make the right decision out of the 3, right? And again, it's a restaurant, so it's not going to be like this perfectly healthy meal. But you've already made the option before you went there.
Yeah.
And you can do the same with the drinks. Like, I'm going to have 2 beers. Like, generally, like beers are all about the same anyway. But you know, let's just calculate these calories before I even go. I'm just sitting on the couch waiting.
Yeah.
I got 5 minutes. Track it beforehand. Put it in there. Yeah. Then you don't have this thing of like, I don't want to put this in because I know it's going to be bad. You already know before you went and before you ate what it's going to be.
You've had a look at the menu. You've chosen your food. Yeah.
Yeah. And just do this for everything around, like planning your day out in advance, I think is a really good one.
Yeah.
So maintenance, because that's the next stage. Because once you start these habits, it's like, it gets easier as you're going, but like, how do you keep going, right? Yeah. You've got ADHD, you know all about dopamine and how the brain sort of works around.
Do things, yeah.
Dopamine's it is the thing that sort of drives motivation, right?
Yeah.
So how much dopamine are you getting when you sort of get on the scales every day and you've lost 0.5, 50 grams or 100 grams or 0.25?
Like nothing.
Not really much, right? And again, we know that the happiness that you get from something is not as big a driver as the fear element as well.
Yeah.
So when we kind of know these things, like how do we get dopamine? And I think people that have sort of been very good at mastering a certain skill or a certain habit where they just do it, it's part of their identity. We all kind of do it in that we kind of are more motivated and driven by like a little bit of the discomfort rather than you get a bit of feel good out of doing that sort of stuff. But I think there's something about having a mindset around being comfortable in uncomfortable situations or like looking forward to a bit of discomfort because you grow from discomfort, right? Yeah. We don't change as people and get better as people when we're just in our little bubble and always comfortable every day. The business changes that have happened in your life probably started with a very uncomfortable situation or multiple of them, right?
Yeah.
That's how we grow and become, better people. So how can we do that with sort of, I guess, nutrition and exercise? I guess it's not it's not about like hating every second of the habit you're trying to do, right? Like if it's exercise, a lot of people really sort of dislike exercise from the physical standpoint, or just like, oh, my heart rate's really high, this is uncomfortable. It's sort of switching your thinking when you're in those situations to sort of enjoy it. Like for me, like when I train at a pretty high heart rate zone. Like I kind of love that. Part of my fucked up part of my brain, like I kind of enjoy that. When it comes to public speaking, I don't love it. I think a lot of people would assume that I love it because like I'm decent at it. But I actually thrive off the fact that it's something that makes me uncomfortable, and I love throwing myself in the deep end with uncomfortable things, right? Because I know
the stressor almost is like a motivator.
The stress is a motivator, and I know that the more I do it, the more I'll get good at it, and I like being good at things. And I also know that I'm a better person when I overcome those uncomfortable sort of things. Like so sort of try and thrive on like a little bit of the discomfort of doing those things. Being hungry when you're trying to lose weight, it's uncomfortable. If you can reframe it as like, this is me working towards like something really, really good long term. And almost a bit of a challenge. Like, can I go a little bit of time without eating when I'm a bit hungry? Like, this is uncomfortable, but reframe it in your mind. Pushing yourself with your workouts. Like, you'll always get that nice dopamine hit after you finish your workout, but like, it'll be better if you push yourself hard before then to get to that, right? And then I guess when it comes to results versus progress, I think a lot of people put too much into the very short term. Changing any habit, but particularly your body, it takes time. You'll get sold by the health industry quite a lot, like quick fixes. The reality is
4-week things.
The reality is like they're trying to sell you something, and there's no refunds available, and they only ever post the results of like the 1 in 100 people that actually manage to achieve the thing.
No one's talking about the people that sign up.
No, they wouldn't. They're not going to post that stuff, right? So.
Not good marketing.
No, not great marketing at all. And they've already got your money, and so they don't really care. So, but don't maybe look at your, I guess, like, it's very easy to get down about yourself when you don't achieve something in the time you want. Also, expecting too quick of a result, and that you will do something without ever fucking up once. Like anything,
it's gonna be
there's going to be fuck ups, there's going to be setbacks, all these things. You've just got to get rid of the part of your brain that, like, when that happens, just gives up.
Beat yourself up for it.
Beat yourself up. And
just get back on
back on literally the next day. Like, don't wait till Monday.
We've had this conversation.
It's not Monday. It's the next day.
Just do it the next day.
And if you set up all the systems in place throughout your day, that means that you'll not get into these situations as often. It's so much easier. You've removed all of the friction around like, this keeps happening. You've set up a system where this won't keep happening. It might happen still occasionally. But you've got fail safes. You've got things set up where it's less likely to happen. And then you're sort of like realizing that every single day that you're on that right path is the progress. That is working towards a result. It's not the number on the scales that might fluctuate. It's not necessarily like the weight lifted or how much, you burnt in a session. Like there's so many other things you can look at as a success, and just the process and doing it itself. Like you've got to see that as making progress, right? All right, so there are all the steps, but that was probably a lot of talking. So I guess we should probably wrap this up by just sort of going back through each individual step. And I guess the most important thing is not sort of worrying about every step being perfect, but just like literally just do the action, like execute it, right? Because we already know that it's more effective to just do something than to like think about it or try and will yourself up to the point of doing it. Like just start.
Just the
start
motivation
small,
and
then build from there. And honestly, once you've just started, it's much easier to just continue going with the process of doing all the steps you need to once you've just got a little bit of pen and paper or you've started the process, right? So the first thing we obviously need to start with is around creating that really scary alternative path that you don't want to end up at, right? Once you
what's the action plan? Like, what are we telling people to do here?
So first thing is, and again, I just think that all of this stuff needs to be written down.
I agree, because I used to be the person, and like I used to hate that we would just always writing stuff down. I hated it, but recently I've started. I made an attempt at starting journaling. This is probably something I need to build a habit around. But just reflecting on the day for me, like writing it down, has been more impactful than doing any other form of journaling I've tried to do in the past. I've tried to do video journaling with the Apple journaling app as well. Didn't work for me because you never go back to it, right? Yep. Whereas if you've written it down and you go back to that page, or you're writing again on that page, you're seeing the previous thing you wrote down. I think it's a really, like, even if you're just glancing at it, your body, your brain already remembers really subconsciously what you wrote down and what was there. So you're more likely to have that thought again, or remember, oh shit, I was actually thinking that and I was supposed to do that.
Yep.
You're the same with to-do lists, I know this.
Yep.
Like
I've just been setting up things in my house in Clearview. Like, where's your journal?
In my gym bag. I've got my go bag. Like I have a bag that has everything that I need to take with me on the go all the time. So it has my laptop, journal. I've got a diary, which is like my to-do list, diary, day planner sort of thing, all in there.
So it's always on you.
Always on me. Yeah.
You've removed the thing that it's out of sight, out of mind, or that, oh shit, I forgot it.
Yeah.
It's always on you, right? So yeah, I agree. But I think in terms of with any of these sorts of things, I think you need to be reminded, like, we can come up with these great New Year's resolutions. By December, you've probably forgotten half of the things you thought about wanting to do in January. It needs to always be in front of your face in some way, whether it be inside a book, maybe the book's on your bedside table, maybe you put a little poster up around your house, maybe it's written on your fridge. Anything where it's just constantly there in your face, you can't avoid it every single day. Just as a reminder, because you'll forget. I forget stuff from yesterday already, right? I forgot what I had for a snack yesterday. It's like if it's something that you really want to change that takes like a fair bit of like, your thought and then planning and all these sorts of things, it needs to be just fresh in your mind. And the best way to do that, I think, is to have it actually, like super visible.
Yeah, write it down, put it somewhere you're always going to see it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
In the mirror. Is yours on the mirror? Like, that's what you're saying? You put stuff on the mirror for you to see in the morning? No,
not on my mirror. No. So I have my sort of like I journal as well. So I'll have, as part of that, and I have one that has prompts, because like just a blank page in itself is a bit of a deterrent for me, right? So it's got great prompts of like, write down this. What about this? Things for tomorrow. And so it's not just about writing about today. You're coming up with your strategy for the next day, but then also like I've got stuff, like I've got printouts on my fridge of like the person I want to be, aka I didn't write it that way, I wrote it the person I am. And then that reminds me of what would I do in this scenario? It's based on this principle, right, of the person I am. Stuff like that.
Cool.
All that sort of stuff. Yeah. So that's, but again, it starts with writing down worst case scenario, and then writing down the type of person that you want to be, but written in the way of, I am the type of person, I am this person. Then obviously we've got the visual element of it, or something that that you're just going to constantly see that, or it's going to be in your mind based on what sort of learner are you? Like visual learner, I think it's just an easy one with visuals, but there's other strategies, but just make sure that it's something that, because of the way you've set this up, you'll see it every day in some way.
I thought of a good one for this.
Love it.
We both like using AI lots. What if you made like a AI caricature version of your whole scenario, and then an AI caricature version of your vision scenario?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And you could print out both.
Yeah, like an actual picture.
Like make it not ultra realistic, but like make a almost cartoon version of yourself on crutches or in a wheelchair or whatever. Like whatever that scenario.
I'm just thinking like you want that somewhere very like visual to you, but if someone walks into your house and you've just got this massive poster of you, but somewhere where you're going to see it, right?
Yeah, well, you can make. I mean, it's so easy to do now. But you could make a version of yourself that you're trying to be, and a version of yourself that you don't want yourself to be.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's sort of similar to when people do like vision boards, right?
Yeah.
But the pit with AI, it can be a literal picture of you, but in a certain scenario, like in a certain setting, right? Love it. I reckon that's great. Then setting up your environment to make it easy to make good decisions and harder to make bad. That's the next step. So whether that be your work environment, your home environment, all these sorts of things, little things where, you figured out what the obstacle is or the common thing that, prevents you from doing the habit or the good thing or avoiding the bad thing that you want to do. And you change your environment so that it makes it so much easier to do the good thing and so much harder to do the bad thing, right?
Yeah.
And just chip away at that. Like, you're not going to necessarily do that in one day. Again, it's a bit overwhelming. I don't have time for that. But if it's just little things of...
What are the things, like what examples do you reckon we can give here? Because we've got obviously like lollies and that being a friction point for people. What are the things you reckon that people do that are unhealthy that we want to sort of get people avoiding and doing more healthy things?
So I guess, are we talking sort of nutrition here predominantly?
Nutrition or just training? Like, I think we use the example of having your clothes ready.
Yep.
So like that's...
Having your clothes ready, I think, in a way, like specifically with our members, it's sort of done through our booking system. But I know just from looking at what we see with our booking system, the people that have booked their sessions well in advance, the people that are auto-booked, they always rock up to that session. There's very few times where they'll cancel it, right? Because now you've created the barrier to cancel. Because you're already booked in. So to cancel is opening the app, waiting for it to load, scrolling to your session, clicking cancel, knowing that we're going to see that, we're going to get the email, versus not booking in and going, I'll probably go to the gym at 7 o'clock tonight, and then booking it in either at 6:40 or never booking in at all. Right? You've created the friction around not going versus having the friction of booking in to go. So that's even a little thing.
That's the whole planning thing as well, right? Like, if we have the conversation about when you're going to train, what time is that you're doing it, how many days a week you're doing it, and then we book it in together and it's locked into a schedule, like, that's just what you have to do now. Or like, there's a lot more resistance around not doing that thing, or even the fact that you've just planned to do the thing. You've got time free on X, Y, and Z days. You're going to go to the gym.
And even subtly, right? And I think this is an important part of like becoming the person you want to be, is in that scenario, we're included in that journey, because if they come to us and they say, hey, can you book me in every single week on Monday at this time? Now they're essentially projecting to the world, this is the person I am. I'm a person who comes to the gym this day at this time. So now I'm not coming to that session. You're also letting someone else down. There's at least this thought of, I'm letting that person down because I told them I'd be there at that time on that day. So you've now included other people into this. And then when you include other people and you let them know this is the type of person I am, then they're going to hold you accountable. And you also have the fear, which is very important, of being judged by that person. Same reason you rock up to work. Like, your fear is that you're going to be judged by your boss, or they're going to fire you, or, all of these things come from a fear base, right? You're driven by money, but that's not the reason why you decide not to call a sickie or not, right? It's like, it's because
the friction point of calling a sickie is not, I might not get paid, or I might get fired. There's a bit of fucking fear about having to call that person and let them know you're not going to come in.
Exactly right. So it's just stuff like that. I mean, it's very obvious in certain areas of our life, but we tend to just not think that they relate to these sorts of things as well, and they obviously do. And then when it comes to nutrition, I think it's around making it harder for you to get that unhealthy option than the healthy option. Like, you create obstacles for yourself, and that's very specific to each person. Your house setup even matters. But just try and just think of very unique ways you can do that.
I've always thought like it was not an impossible scenario. It's for you to have a separate section, because I think a lot of the time, one of the reasons I hear why people can't do nutrition better is that, the kids eat a certain way, so I've got to do that. But there's nothing wrong with having a separate section of the pantry for yourself, separate from the kids, or even having yourself set up a mini pantry in one of the other cupboards. Like, your food, it's not like your food's unable to go in a different cupboard. It is able to go in a different cupboard, and that cupboard can be your cupboard if you're really committing to eating healthy. And to get foods and to get snacks out of your cupboard. Put it in a place that's a little bit harder for your kids to reach too, so they can not have your healthy snacks as well as theirs.
True.
So I think that's a thing, like, that can create a bit of an easier scenario for you to do. I do this at home, like living with my parents. I have a separate section which is like my food, not to keep it away from them, but like, I know when I like plan out my week of food, or when I'm doing my audit of like, hey, you always buy random shit you don't eat when you're at Coles or Woolworths. And I think for me, like, knowing that, hey, I bought it and I'm going to consume it at some point, is knowing that I have it available. So like I have a separate shelf, which is like a Bunnings shelf of my groceries, which is like, now I can look at it and go, I've got this, this, and this. I can meal prep this, this, and this. And if I want to cook this, I need to go and get that. Or I bought those ages ago because they were cheap and I need to consume those at some point so I'm not wasting money. That's sort of how my brain operates, but you can do the same thing for eating healthy, right?
Yeah, and even I just thought of this then, like even when it comes to like the layout of the pantry, obviously if you put stuff up high where it's out of reach, you got to grab a chair.
Like, at shopping centres, right?
But
like,
going back to our example before with the Google one, where they had the M&Ms in the a glass
easy
like
to reach.
see-through, and then they made it not visible from unless you open the jar and behind the fruit.
Yep.
Another thing you could do that makes it sort of inconvenient to have that food is it's not even necessarily in a different place in the pantry.
Yeah.
It's just that you put all of those foods in a tub. So now you got to pull the tub out, right? Open the lid and then grab it, right? And that solves the problem of it's not even visible. You open the pantry, you can't even see it because that tub hides what's in there, right? You might know.
Yeah, don't make it a transparent tub.
Yeah. Don't make it a transparent tub. Make it something like a white tub and then you're good.
Yep.
So then writing down all the scenarios that happen frequently or somewhat regularly that
sabotage your goal or like sabotage the person you're trying to be, right? Like,
yeah, both of those things. And so you're just writing down all those scenarios. And look, this can be something that you just make a note of writing down when it happens, right? Rather than doing it all before me. I can't think of anything. Oh, this is a long task. I'm trying to think. I'm tired. When something happens and you already do have the fuck up moment, just write it down after.
Yeah.
And then what you're going to do with that note is you're going to add what are you going to do in that situation instead. In the future.
What's an alternate plan?
What's the alternate? And then you set up your environment around that too, right? So, okay, well, the alternate is this, but now I need to make sure that that thing is not the friction point. So when I went to the cupboard, I wrote down, I went to the cupboard and the chocolate was there and I grabbed the chocolate and I ate the chocolate. What am I going to do next time? I'm going to grab a piece of fruit. How do I implement that? Well, you make the chocolate harder to get and you make the fruit not even be in the pantry. It's out on the, it's on the counter and it's easy to get. You don't even have to open it.
Yeah.
And then you've got a legitimate like action plan of if this happens, then this, and you've made it easier and harder to do the right thing and the wrong thing. And then I think the final one, which I think is probably the most important thing with mindset particularly, is not letting a fuck up just fuck your entire week.
Yeah, I mean, this happens for us. I reckon we see this as a trend.
Every single week.
Every single week. And I mean, it's not like, even though we've been doing this for so long, we don't have malicious like thoughts about people that do this. We don't think they're bad people. We just think human, right?
Yeah,
like humans do this. But it's for me, like, I always give myself the training rule where it's like, don't take 2 days off in a row.
Yeah.
Like, even if you do a workout that is mediocre, that, you could have done better or you did better last week at, just do the workout. Like,
do something.
Do something. Go for a walk, go for a run, get to the gym, do something. We're pretty good at being very pliable with our programming and changing stuff on the fly. So if there's something going on injury-wise, like, let us know, we can change it. But just get there and do it.
Yeah.
Like, don't miss 2 days of your planning in a row.
And I think we have developed this mindset for ourselves.
Yeah.
And we don't even have to discuss it. I would know that you would have this mindset. You would know that I would have it. And we've never talked about this before, right? Which is that when you miss something, you don't hit that task that you had planned for that day. Like, let's just use training as the example. In my head, instantly, what has switched is, that is my main focus for, well, now I need to make sure I get it in tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that is where my mind is instantly gone. It's like, okay, you've not done what you wanted to do and you sort of set yourself to today. Now I'm focused, that's happening tomorrow. And I'm more driven and that is happening.
To get it to happen,
Because if it just happened once, it's just sort of...
It's fine, it happens and we
once.
get it. Yeah.
And talking about sort of what we see every week, I guess the specific is, like, people write their week off by Wednesday.
Yeah.
If you miss Monday, you miss Tuesday, maybe you don't even need to miss Wednesday. By that Wednesday, they've decided, I'll just start back on Monday.
Yeah.
Like, every day you got to wake up and you've just got to go, okay, new day today.
Yeah.
Days don't matter.
Yeah.
Like, we have weekdays and weekends based on the work thing, but days are just not a thing.
Imagine you apply that same mentality to other things, like sleeping, for example.
Yeah.
I had a bad night's sleep on Monday. Oh, I only got 2 hours sleep on Tuesday. I'm just going to not sleep for the rest of the week. I'm just going to stay awake for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Because I'll start back on Monday because it makes sense to.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't make any sense at all. I think we know this. I think deep down inside, everyone else knows it. But for whatever reason, we decide to make it okay with ourselves.
And, the
other thing,
a
little bit off topic, but if we haven't honest truths about shit we can't stand, or we notice from doing this for a long time, is I think a lot of the things that go wrong for people, I don't even see them as sometimes being them making an excuse. These are real things that have happened. I didn't get to the gym today because X, Y, and Z. That actually happened. I get it. I fucking get it. It's all it's not your fault, right?
Yeah.
But it is completely within your power. What you do next is up to you. Whether or not you get to the gym late, that's up to you, right? The way you act when you get to the gym late is up to you, right? And knowing, right, that the whole world, it wasn't just you. I had this incident, I think, it was leaving TAFE, right? I had the incident getting here later than I wanted to on Thursday because all the traffic on, if you've lived anywhere near Clyde Road, you'd understand. Off Kangan Drive back to work, got here late, and instead of just whinging about it for a couple of days straight or whinging about it for a couple of hours or letting it derail my whole day, I was in the mindset of this just didn't happen to me. This happened to a bunch of people. I wasn't the only person on that road. And because of that, I'm not going to have this mindset of I've got to have a pity party about it. Just fucking get on with it. Just get on with it. I think, you don't need to make the rest of everyone else's, you don't need to seek pity from everyone or people around you because that happened, because it didn't just happen to you. To a bunch of people. Yeah, it fucking sucks, but get on with it.
Yeah, because, the thing that sucked.
Yeah.
But by letting it get to you for after the event happened, you're not making your life better. You're making it suck for longer.
Yeah. And it always, we see it all the time, and it's just yeah.
Anyway, that's our entire sort of plan.
Yeah.
And again, I think when it comes to actioning this sort of stuff, just start somewhere. Don't go into it thinking, well, that's going to take me 3 hours to do all these steps.
Yeah, just do one of them.
Commit to the first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And the reality is, once you've committed and done the first 2 minutes, you'll be able to easily keep going because it's much harder to start the thing than to continue it once you've started.
Yeah.
So space it out how you want, but just go in with initial, I'm just going to do 2 minutes of this work, start the process, get the ball rolling.
Yep.
And then you'd be surprised how quickly you get all this sort of done.
Yeah.
And then it's really around implementing and just having every single day being reminded of this in some way. Rather than just pushing it down and not having any visual cues or any sort of things that you're maintaining to keep it going.
If you were to title this page before we finish, what would you call it?
This page?
Yeah, so you've written down a page. We're asking everyone to write down a few different things. Is it the vision plan, or is it...
Look, honestly, and this, obviously, I've already done this in a letter format to give out to people.
What did you call that letter?
I called that a letter to my future self.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's a good. Did you pretty much cover all these things in that letter, or
everything? Yeah. So
Sweet.
this
maybe that's a great hook. I did it accidentally.
What do you know? Yeah. So we are actually we're going to be implementing these sort of strategies in what essentially I just made a form, a letter that everyone's going to fill out.
Yep.
And it's based on these principles because these are science-based principles. We know they work. And so the structure's already there. But essentially doing that sort of thing for yourself. And then again, all the little other extra visual cues that you do are great. Because I think we're going to get that letter back off them and hand back to them at the end of this year, right? But if you've written all that stuff down, and you've given the letter back to me, how are you going to remember all this stuff? You won't.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get people to the end of the year where they're opening their letter and they're reading
I remember doing that.
I didn't even remember that was my goal, which is where the other steps need to be implemented, right? And you need to have your own little version of it, maybe dot points, whatever. But essentially, I think the best place to start is to just start writing. and try and do the order, because again, we need these sorts of steps in order to get the brain to to hack the brain into wanting to do these actions and having a strong drive to do them and an emotional connection to the things. And then just, every single day, new day, you can fuck up a day, reset,
go again.
Yeah. Days don't exist. We're just going around the sun. All right. Good first podcast back.
Yeah.
And I think this was my topic. I think each week we'll try and come up with an interesting topic. We have a lot of niche hobbies and interests that we probably know a lot about. And we'll just talk about them.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
Cool.
All right. Done.